Morning, this is Garfias Wash. While I was hiking here this morning, I ran into a pack of wild burros, which is probably appropriate since the anime I'm going to talk about today is about a bunch of jackasses. Aquarian is a sci-fi mecha anime series with mystic overtones released in North America by Funimation. Aquarian starts off with a voiceover explanation setting up the story. It's the year 11 years after the Great Catastrophe. I still don't know what that Great Catastrophe is after 13 episodes, but yes, Earth has once again been devastated by another sci-fi anime. Perhaps it was the alien invasion. Beings called shadow angels from some place or maybe some dimension called Atlantia are popping up onto Earth. They're sucking up the living energy called prana from human beings by harvesting them, and then they pop back out to wherever they came from. Earth has created Project Dieva, dedicated to resurrecting Aquarian, the legendary mechanical angel, for its defense against the shadow angels. In classic anime style, Aquarian is the titular super mecha formed by merging three parts or elements, which look a lot like jet fighters in their individual form. Aquarian's form and function varies by which of the three elements is the head at the time of merger. There are a bunch of teens training to pilot these Aquarian elements. Most notable of these are Sirius and Sylvia. Their sibling nobility, and Reika and Pierre, who are non-noble pilots. Leading them is a guy named General Fudo, though he's more of a fortune cookie and homily spouting guy than actual tactical leadership. He's assisted by a blind psychic named Rina, who's all into the touchy-feely. Things start up when the team recruits a new street rat, Apollo, based on some mysterious energy readings that suggest that he may have the right stuff to be an Aquarian pilot. Naturally, the nobles and street urchins are going to hit it right off.
Cops! I don't think so. They don't look like cops. And cops don't stink like that.
Now you realize, if you don't cooperate with us willingly, we may have to rough you up a little bit.
Yeah! Gotcha! Amateur. Oh, yeah?
That scene nicely illustrated the main problem I had with this series. All the characters are haughty, overbearing, and obnoxious. No one ever introduces themselves with a friendly hello in this series. They just start off with a fist to the face or a kick to the groin, and even so-called allies are always bickering and screaming at each other. I just took an instant dislike to everyone I met in the first episode. It saved a lot of time. On Aquarian's mystic side, many of these pilots are supposedly reincarnations of past heroic pilots of legend, and figuring out who was who and why we should care is one of the main guessing games of the first 13 episodes. The most prestigious reincarnation would be of the legendary hero Solar Wing, also known as Apollonius. So, we've got a pariah bat named Apollo and a legendary hero named Apollonius, and we're wondering who's going to reincarnate as who. Yeah, I got that. Also on the mystic side, somewhere along the line, without any explanation whatsoever, these kids picked up individual superpowers, such as that fiery kick that Pierre used in that first scene, or some telekinesis, manifesting mystic arrows, some mind reading or telepathy, or whatever. But mostly they fly the three Aquarian elements and combine as one into Aquarian, the legendary forms, to fight shadow angels, accompanied by some heroic and catchy music, of course. Now, giant robots that combine from individual pieces have been a staple of anime and Sentai series for an awful long time. And about the only twist Aquarian offers on this is that apparently the combination provides orgasmic pleasure to its participants.
Merge 1! Merge 2!
Go! Aquarion! This is incredible!
outside of Aquarian, and often inside it too. These would-be saviors of mankind squabble, flirt, act jealous and petty, and are generally obnoxious to one another and to us. Their Zen-spouting commander seems to think all this turmoil will eventually lead to bonding and teamwork. Coincidentally, my 4th grade gym teacher had that theory. Oh, and we even have fart jokes. Who cut the cheese inside the mecha cockpit? Make a guess. This sounds like something from a Terrence and Phillips show. The only really sympathetic characters are the 2 new recruits, just arrived around the 3rd or 4th episode. That's Tsugumi and June. Since they just joined, they haven't become arrogant yet. Meanwhile, back in Atlantia, the evil beings behind the Shadow Angels are plotting to suck all the life out of humanity, who they call wingless ones. Gonzo's character animation is pretty good, and their CGI mecha is pretty decent too. Typical of the Gonzo studio, the CGI and character art don't mesh seamlessly. There are obvious visual differences to the styles that distract the eye from time to time. Aquarian is an intentional throwback to a classic transforming, combining giant robot genre, and in many ways that inoculates it from the criticism that it's unoriginal. It is, after all, a deliberate homage. And I suppose one could argue that it brings a new, fancy CGI animation to the subject. But I think it should have offered something more, something substantially entertaining. One problem I have with this series is the pseudo-mystic nature of the reincarnation of the Aquarian pilots and its power. It seems that all the characters and Aquarian alike keep pulling strange new powers out of their ass. In a world where anything can happen, who cares what really does? But after 13 episodes, the biggest problem I had with this series was the unlikability of most of the cast of characters. All the main characters are way too arrogant, hostile, and just obnoxious to be likable, at least for my taste. It's like being trapped at a party where everyone hates everyone else. Someone's trying to catch his old enemy outside so they can throw down. Another guy is bickering with his ex over in a corner, and someone else is trying to pick up someone else's girlfriend. It's like a singles bar, but with fistfights and mecha. I suppose the idea is that we'll watch these relationships all soften over time, and mutual respect will eventually form as they bond into a team. But after 13 episodes of constant backbiting, bickering, and sneering, I hate them all. I'm going to root for the Shadow Angels to wipe out the world, or at least Project Dieva. Overall, I give Aquarian 2 stars. If you're going to make an unoriginal throwback anime, you ought to throw in at least one likable character I can cheer for. Pretty animation can't make me care about these characters. Funimation has done something new with this series' DVD releases. They didn't publish individual DVDs. They dropped the entire 13-episode 3-DVD set out at once. I like that concept in principle, since intricately plotted series often give me too much time to forget about what the plot was about and who the characters were when I see them in 4-episode doses every 2 months. Thanks for listening.